Hey guys, what's up and welcome to another video. My name is Leopoldo Perella and I do videos about UX, website design and the entire design process. On today's video, I'm taking you behind the scenes on how I do design research for a branding and web designing project. So if you're interested in how I create mental models, how I use research tools to come up with ideas in a design direction, stay tuned.
And it's a ticket talking margin for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's
So most likely you're watching this video because you either have a design project coming up or you are actually working on one and you're trying to figure out how to come up with a design style or a design direction for your project. For me, I have been working on something that I call Drive, which is my design process and what most of my videos are based on. And there's one thing that I always do and I always like to do it, and it is to start with clients' conversations. And what I mean by conversations, I mean by strategic conversations with my clients, where I ask a specific questions and I share information with them to push them or to enable them to tell me all the information that I need about their business, their brand, their customers, even the competitors. And the best way to do this is by making sure that they tell you keywords or key phrases that then you can put into paper and start to think about them on how that word or that phrase might translate into a design, into a color, into, I don't know, a mock-up that you might have on the website or into even photography. So one of the things that I will do with my clients is to have a strategic conversation, which is normally our first meeting after the kickoff meeting, where we'll be talking about or coming up with keywords for the culture of their business, what their voice is, what do the customers feel like when they work with them. We put words for this. Also, how do they feel after they have completed working with them? How is it that they feel? Are they happy? Are they excited? Or are they nervous and now are worried because something didn't happen, right? So all of these things, we need to make sure that we put them on paper so that we can start to relate them to actual design elements. Then the next thing I do is I go on paper and I start to note down all these keywords that I came up with, right? It might be 20 keywords, it might be 40 keywords or more. Once you start to put them all together on paper, what I normally do is I start to create sort of like a network or linkage of keywords. Let's say I know that personality might match with some other word that I have laid out, and I start to connect them. And once I'm finished with all the words or the attributes that we came up with in the meeting, then I also look for on the web for the words related to the same keywords. So now I can create a bigger list. So whenever I'm looking or I'm researching on the web for design elements, I can think about, well, does this mockup that I got online on Behance is related to this keyword that I use? Or is this color that I got on Adobe Color related or gives you the feeling that this keyword we chose is supposed to give you, right? So now that I have all this on paper, it's time for me to start going online and start looking for reference from other creative work, even from my own work and even from some of those large agencies like Pentagram who have probably done work with clients similar to mine. So one of the research tools that I recommend the most is Behance.net, mainly because many creatives are sharing their entire process, the reasons why they chose certain colors, certain elements, certain features for the design project. But you can also look at something like Dribble where there are only screenshots of a design project. And you can also do something like even on Instagram, for example, if you're working with, let's say you're working with an interior designer and you are looking for ideas and photos that might match the keywords that you chose, you can go ahead and create this sort of like a save photos. So you create your own mood board. The whole idea of this process is to create a disorganized mood board that eventually you will organize into a Stylescape. So one thing to keep in mind here is to not be too technical about it. Just look at the keywords, look at the elements that you are seeing online and trying to match them, but do not overstress yourself about trying to find the right element because they are not the right elements at the moment. Then Once you have put all this together, you now have a lot of content, so it's very important for you now to go onto paper. So normally a piece of paper, blank paper, and a pen or a pencil will be really good for this stage, because this is where you're going to start looking for elements that you're going to be creating from everything you put together. This can be shapes. You can think about like how two letters may mix together to create something. You might think about if a square or a triangle might make a different shape. But what's important is to just let your mind and your hand and your pen draw without worrying about like the drawing being perfect. Sort of like when you're designing a wireframe on a piece of paper, so that you don't spend too much time getting a line straight or getting the circle to fit the right proportion or anything like that. You just want to go ahead and put it all on paper, put all your thoughts there, and then later on you're going to move forward towards your computer, maybe using Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, or any other software that you might use to make this disorganized information into something quite organized. And this is where a Stylescape comes to play. So once you have all the different elements, one of the things that I like to do is to create mental models or categories of all the information I picked up. And now I'm going to categorize them into different elements. So normally for a design project or even a website design project, I will present 3 design styles for my clients. That will be like a mild version, a medium version, and a very bold version. So I'm always thinking, okay, so now I have all these different mood boards and different elements, different fonts, colors, and whatnot. Which of these elements belong in which category? So once I have been able to organize them all, I go into Photoshop and I create a Stylescape. Now this is the Stylescape that I will be presenting for the client in the next meeting. I will pretty much explain how I came up with the design, the direction, how I did the research and getting the keywords that we spoke about. I remind them of the keywords so they know that it is not something that I just randomly came up with. Sometimes we are all living busy lives. Sometimes we forget what we said in a meeting, and we may not be sure why is this person telling me about all these different phrases, right? So it's important to remind them about it and to show them how is it that you took those keywords and came up with this Stylescape or this organized design directions. So I hope you found this helpful, and if you want more content like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell button so anytime I post a new video, you get a notification. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Hey guys. Oh, I don't have my microphone.
Leo, come on, Leo.